Hello everyone, my name is Emblem, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going through the second half of the month of August, and we're starting out pretty much where we left off last time, back in the swamps of Mauritania. I decided since I'm going to continue doing the Fort Forinthry upgrades, I might as well get the rest of the construction outfit, and I only need 2 more pieces, so let's go ahead and get that done real quick. And there we go. Pazuzu is now high enough level for me to grab the gloves, and I already had enough of a total level done, so we have all the pieces. Unfortunately, most of the buildings are locked behind a series of quests, and on my main account, I only did the initial part of Fort Forinthry, but now there's a whole lot more, which starts with completing Murder on the Border for the first time. Our story begins with us as newly appointed dukes of our brand new fort. In order to celebrate, our steward suggests that we throw a banquet for the nearby nobility. In order to have a banquet, though, we do need a place to cook food, so our first task is to build a kitchen. Once that is completed, we then begin welcoming our guests. This includes King Gerold and Queen Elmaria from Rock Palace, along with their wine taster and Iris, who is related to the Duke of Lumbridge. Next is Bianca, who is the sister of Astor, our steward, and will be our chef for the evening, followed by Duke Horse and Lord Narodny from Edgeville, along with their dog Princess. And finally, we have Duchess Alba from Lumford. With everybody gathered together, we sit down for a very awkward dinner, and Lord Horse gets poisoned and dies. But have no fear, because we are on the case. We just gotta look around for clues, talk to our guests, and try and figure out exactly what happened. As we're getting close to solving this mystery, we go and speak to our steward, only to be suddenly attacked by an assassin. While we're being attacked though, the rest of the guests were also attacked by a bunch of beasts that managed to make their way inside the fort since someone let them in. Using the brand new evidence from this second incident, we finally bring all the puzzle pieces together. We gather everyone together to reveal that our murder is actually the cook, Bianca. Which Astor certainly isn't happy to hear, but unfortunately she does confess. And after everything winds down, we complete our quest in 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 34 seconds. With that completed, I decided to take a break from the fort for a little bit and go and unlock some more areas. Starting with what I should have done a long time ago, the Regicide quest. Can't have an actual timer for this one as there is no quest start, as I technically accepted this once I got that letter a long time ago when I couldn't actually complete the quest. In any case, King Lathis wants us to take out his brother Tyrus, and do that we first need to enter the Elven lands. The way through the underground pass has been cleared, so we head over and make our way through once more. Making our way through the dark tunnels, we exit into the beautiful elven forests, where we are confronted by an elf right away, who I accidentally skipped the dialogue for. Thankfully, checking the quest log does tell us that we need to find Lord Yorwith, but first things first, let's grab that lodestone. From there, I then make my way north, only to realize I can't go through dense forest yet. So, I make my way around to the south, and eventually find a path that leads to the elven camp. Lord Yorwith kindly welcomes us and lets us know that his tracker is on the lookout for Tyrus's camp, and to go speak with him. Thankfully, he's right next to the lodestone, but he won't speak to us without proof that we're actually there to help from Lord Yorwith. So we go return to Yorwith, and we head right back to finally start helping out to find the camp. Directly to the west, we find some footprints leading into dense forest, and speaking to the tracker lets us learn how to finally pass through them. Following through, we do indeed find Tyrus's camp, so we report to Yorwith to learn what to do next, which essentially boils down to make a bomb to kill them all. The first ingredient I figure out pretty quickly is the quicklime, as you just heat it in a furnace and then grind it up. The second one also isn't too bad, as you just have to grab some of the sulfur by the swamp and grind it up, and there you go. The third ingredient is where I had a lot of trouble. The chemist kept saying to use tar in his distillery, but whenever I went to use tar, it said, no, not this type of tar. It took a lot of wandering around and beating my head against the wall, but eventually I got lucky, and as I was passing by the swamp once more, because I could have sworn there was something else to do here, I finally found the gathering spot for the coal tar, which I'm sure you can agree completely blends in and has no indication that it's actually there. Thankfully, the actual fighting process wasn't too bad. It did take a little bit of fiddling and grabbing more coal, but in the end, we got it done. We return to Tyrus's camp and distract the catapult manager with some freshly cooked rabbit, and then launch our bomb directly at King Tyrus, killing him instantly. We return to Yorwith, who gives us a letter for King Lethis, and return to him once more. However, before we enter the castle, we are interrupted by a stranger, who unlocks the letter we've been given, and lets us read that this is in fact an evil ploy, and we're on the wrong side. But our quest is complete, and we will continue the story some other time. Instead, it's finally time to put that raw shark to use, and to complete the Fremnik trials. To become a true Fremnik, we must impress the council with the majority of the members, which means we need to impress 7 of them. Our first one is Pier the Seer, who, in order to become a Fremnik, requires us to have enough intelligence. So we go through his house, which is more of an escape room than anything else, and it's a fun little distraction. Our second trial comes from Thorvald the Warrior, who wants us to prove our strength in combat. It takes a little bit for me to actually find my opponent, but once we do, we quickly fight him over and over and over again until we finally defeat him. I go ahead and stay for the final fight as well, just to prove my full might. Having some food helps as well. Our next task comes from Sigly the Huntsman, who tells us to find and kill the dragon. We play a little bit of hot and cold with the tracker that he gives us, but eventually we find it and get our third vote. Our fourth task comes from Olaf the Bard, who tells us to perform in the Great Hall. But in order to do so, since we have no talent, we need a magical harp to make it up for us. So I head to the windswept hill where I got some rabbits before to grab a branch. We then head to Lolly, who has golden wool for us to use. However, we do have to ask Oscaladin for a pet rock to give to her in exchange. Finally, we get our harp enchanted by offering up our raw shark before performing at the hall and obtaining our fourth vote. The next council member we find is Manny the Reveler, who just tells us to beat him in a drinking contest. However, no matter what I try, I can't figure out how to actually do so. Looking for clues, I continue going around the town to find Sigmund the Merchant, who gives us our next task, which is to get him a set of flowers, which leads us on a grand quest talking to everyone in the village, essentially, before we finally come back around and complete his task. While going around, we do encounter Swenson the Navigator, our final council member to find, and probably the easiest as well. I did have in the back of my mind that his name was important, saw that it was the directions to solve his maze. So I typed it in chat and went through real quick before continuing on with our grand trade quest. With all those completed, it's back to Manny the Reveler to try and figure out his trick. While going around searching for any sorts of clues, I even find this pipe on the side of the building that looks important. But I just can't figure it out, and unfortunately, I give up. I take time to get another hint, like I did for Underground Pass, as this one is just too much. And to be fair to myself, this one doesn't tell you where to go at all. And the actual solution is a bit convoluted. Everything else in this quest has essentially been solvable within the walls, unless they specifically tell you where to go. But for this one, you'll actually need to go out of town into the bridge to the south and speak to the council workman. He will then give you a hint that there is a fake alcohol at a pub in Sears Village, which is what you actually need to switch out with the beer that is there. You then give him a drink to get a firecracker to cause a distraction, set that up, and complete the drinking contest. We then return to the chief to complete our quest, and I am disqualifying my time from this one since I ended up having to cheat. But after that is done, we get our Fremnik name of Jigdaw. With those 2 important quest goals out of the way, I decide it's time to head back to Fort Forinthry. I want to get all of the buildings done that I can, as they have some pretty decent passive bonuses to them. But first things first, I have to gather all the logs for the planks and frames needed. So we go gather up some teak logs from Ape Atoll, some maple logs from Sears Village, which unfortunately I don't have the level for woodblocks for, and finally acacia logs from Menifos. Before we buckle down and turn all of them into the frames we need. With all of our frames made, we just need to unlock the ability to build the buildings by going through the list of quests, starting with our first one, Unwelcome Guests. Our brand new fort has a little bit of a zombie problem, but thankfully the raptor's here, and with his help we beat back some of the zombies that are encroaching on our area. But we're going to need some better defenses than just going out there and beating them ourselves. So, with some supplies from our resident carpenter, we build up some barricades, and then begin work on a guardhouse. Once our guardhouse is completed, we're going to need some actual guards, but thankfully Overseer Civ knows a few guys. They might be a little overzealous, but hey, might as well give them a chance. And if we put the raptor in charge, then everything will be fine. With our brand new guards here to help, we head out with the raptor one more time to clear out the nearby zombies once more and give us just a little bit of breathing room. But while doing so, we discover an ancient crypt. It leads down deep into the underground, where we happen to spot Smurgle, who is probably up to no good. Unfortunately, there's not much we can do right now, and so we return to the fort, speak to the raptor, and complete our quest after 35 minutes and 17 seconds. Now it's time to start getting all those upgrades done. My first step is to get the town hall to level 2. Then I find a stranger hanging out in my fort who wants to build a grove just east of it, and a supply of trees would be quite nice for the free planks. So we agree. Our first step is to build out a wall to make sure zombies can't get to it. Then we build up the first level of it, followed by a gate so we have easy access. Then we go ahead and upgrade the grove to level 2, go back to the chapel and get that to level 2, and finally do the kitchen and get that to level 2 as well. That's a lot of upgrades, but we're not quite done yet. It's time for our next quest in the series, which is Dead and Buried. The raptor and I start discussing the tomb up to the north that we discovered, only to be interrupted by a herald. It seems we've been sent a portrait of the king and queen of Rock, and they want to show it off. The raptor isn't happy with their position as head of the guard, and so we do an interview with a new potential candidate, who brings great ideas such as using ranged weapons. In order to do that though, we first need to build a ranger's workshop, which we quickly take care of and put our new captain in charge. And the raptor and I return to that temple to go see exactly what is going on there. While the raptor takes care of some angry spirits, I quickly gather supplies to build a bridge, and we make our way across to the temple doorway that appears to be on the other side. After messing around with some buttons, we eventually find a strange polyhedral artifact, which we take and bring to Reldo for more information. He tells us it's some sort of memory device, which is trapped, which the raptor immediately falls into. He then gives us a dream entering potion so that we may save the raptor. As we enter inside, we begin solving some block pushing puzzles, and these strange images appear off to the side that has the raptor worried. At first it's just a couple of figures in the distance, and then the house catches on fire, and then the people catch on fire, and when we finally get there, the raptor looks at the young girl who is there, and it turns around to reveal that it is Queen Alamaria, and that it is the raptor herself. Which, I'll say right now, was a bit of a surprise for me, because they've always used a very masculine voice, but, I mean, voice changes are a thing in a world of magic, so I guess it makes sense. We then follow the raptor deeper, helping her fight her ghosts and demons, before we make our way to the deepest part, and find a strange stone wall, which has some concerning words on there. One that I'm surprised to see, as I was not aware of it, is Vorkath, which, if you've watched any old school RuneScape content, you know is a boss on there, who goes by the same name. In any case, the raptor and I return to the crypt to find that the guards have been killed, and quickly enter inside to find the temple itself is open as well. We quickly head deeper to find a strange table and some undead taking pieces away. We quickly take out the undead to return the pieces and bring it all together and solve the puzzle to get what looks like a very familiar map, as this looks to be the Fremnik Isles. Looking at the walls, there's also murals of dragon, which makes a lot of sense, and so we return back to the fort to provide our findings and figure out our next steps. We've got a quest complete in 58 minutes and 23 seconds, and unfortunately we won't be able to continue anymore at the fort until either I get some mahogany or I get 50 necromancy for the next quest. Instead, I make my way to Damonheim for two main reasons. One, I can use the resources inside for free smithing XP, because I kind of want to get to level 50 so I can finally make myself rune equipment. And the other task is to get the easy achievement diary done. And eventually we do hit that level 50 smithing, followed shortly by finishing off our achievement diary, and then we begin gathering together our rune for our upgrades. First thing completed is the rune hatchet, then the rune ore box, and then we work on our rune pickaxe, getting it all the way to +3. Before we work on our armor and weapon though, there's one more thing I need to take care of. That is the quest Dragon Slayer. I believe you still need to complete the quest in order to wear rune plate bodies. At the very least, it rewards you with one. The Guildmaster of the Heroes Guild tells us that in order to wear a rune, we must speak with Oziak, the master of making it. As we head to him, he seems to almost dismiss us, and tells us if we want to wear it, then we must defeat the evil dragon Elvog. We return to Guildmaster for some tips on how to do so, and he informs us that we shall need to gather 3 pieces of an ancient map, along with a shield to protect us from dragon fire, in order to slay the mighty beast. He also gives us a key to Melzar's Maze, the home of a mad wizard who should have one of the pieces. Our first stop is to Melzar's Maze. In fact, using the key he gave us, we enter inside, defeat creatures to obtain keys to go through the correct door, and make our way through the almost maze-like home, until we find the mad mage himself. Defeating him, and continuing on, we then find the chest, which opens up for our first piece of the map. Our second stop is to the jail in Fort Forinthry. I still remember this quest very well, as it's quite the classic in this game. So I speak to the Goblin Wormwood about the second piece of the map, and decide to just kill him with necromancy until I grab the piece of the map. From there, we then head over to the port and speak to old ship's captain, who gives us control of the Lady Lumbridge for a small price. We quickly fix up the ship, and we have our transportation to get to the Isle of Crandor, where no captain will go, except for Ned, an old rope hand over in Draenor. But first we need to gather the last piece of the map, and get our Dragonfire shield. Speaking of the shield, we go speak to Duke Horatio, who hands it right over. I don't exactly have a good one-handed weapon, so I go ahead and make a rune mace as well real quick. We then headed over to the Oracle, who tells us of a magical door in the mines down below. However, to get inside, we need to feed the door special items, which may have been a small issue, except the riddles are pretty easy, and the quest guide also tells you exactly what you need to grab. So, we head down below, put the items in the door, and grab our final piece of the map. We head off with Ned, and begin traveling the sea to reach Crandor, but suddenly our boat is attacked by Elvog, and we crash on the shore. Waking up, we follow the path into the island, and eventually find Elvog's lair, and begin our epic duel. I didn't expect too much from Elvog, since it is a free-to-play quest, and although it is a capstone of them, I don't remember it being all that difficult, especially with evolution combat. However, he does surprise me a little bit, as those breath attacks do quite a bit more damage than I thought. In the end, though, he is no match for us. We managed to defeat him, rip off his head, and show our superiority. We return to Oziak, informing him of our conquest and showing him the head, and complete our legendary quest in only 31 minutes and 25 seconds. From there, I head to the Gnome Stronghold for some more rune, and make our full set of rune equipment. And fully upgrade it too. And then we just put it on, and you can see the difference in power. Definitely worth the time and effort. Now, I may be a duke, but I decide there's nothing wrong with free resources, and decide it's finally time to take the throne of Miscellanea. King Vargas no longer wishes to have the responsibility of running the kingdom, so we'll give it to the person he deems worthy. That person must wed one of his children and negotiate peace between Miscellanea and their neighbor Ecteria. We immediately go to woo Princess Astrid, and through a bunch of dialogue, gifts, and strangely enough, emotes, we ask for her hand in marriage and gain her favor. Which just leaves the treaty next. We head to Queen Sigrid, who is rather bored herself, and agrees to a treaty as long as Vargas recognizes the sovereignty of Ecteria. Heading back to Vargas, he agrees to that condition, considering one of his own, in that the national anthem, which currently just berates him constantly, is changed. Sigrid agrees to that condition as well, but she requires us to find them a new anthem. Thankfully, Prince Brand is a bard, and is able to write something up for us, and with the few corrections from our ever-so-capable advisor Grimm, we present it to Queen Sigrid, and she immediately agrees to sign a treaty. We bring it to Vargas to get his signature as well, but unfortunately, since he has been turned into a Yeti, a pen is a little too small for his giant hands. Thankfully, with the help of a local smith, we managed to make a giant fountain pen for him, and bring it back to get it signed. With that done, there is only one task remaining for us, and Vargas tells us we need to earn the favor of the people themselves, which thankfully enough is fairly easy to do, as we just need to go woodcutting for what feels like an hour. Once we fully filled their favor, we return to Vargas and complete our quest after 40 minutes on the dot. Unfortunately, our role is not quite over yet, as Advisor Grimm tells us there's been some trouble brewing. Some royal trouble. The royal siblings talk to us about their father, who keeps trying to get into the royal business, despite having supposedly passed it on to me. The current main issue, though, is the fact that he's trying to declare war. Citizens are unhappy, and we need to figure out exactly why. So we go around and speak to the citizens, who tell us that soldiers of Ecteria had come and seized supplies that they weren't supposed to. We go and confront Queen Sigrid, who denies the accusations, and we then speak to her citizens as well, who mention that Miscellanea soldiers are the ones that came and stole supplies. With both sides claiming a similar story, something fishy must be going on here. So we turn to King Vargas to tell him what we know, and our trusty advisor Grimm tells us to speak to the sailor, see if he has seen any suspicious people come onto the island recently. And so we do. And he has in fact seen some weird people lately, a group of kids from the Fremnik Isles that no one else has seen recently. We speak to Vargas and get permission to search the underground, and make our way down into the depths. Once down below, we hear stories about those kids causing trouble, but also tales of a beast that has been causing trouble for those beneath. Following the dwarf's directions, we head to the mine shaft and prepare to fix the lift, which is a little easier said than done, as I could not figure out the first step, but eventually we figure it out, after a lot of trial and error, and make our way up to the next level. Following the tunnels, we come across various extinguished campfires, which have burnt diary pages within. These diary pages reveal the plans of these children to start the war by inciting both sides, then becoming heroes by brokering peace between the two countries by returning the supplies back to the both of them, which obviously fell through, as once we find the children, they inform us that a giant sea serpent took the supplies away. We quickly go and take out the sea serpent ourselves, grab the supplies, return them to both countries, and complete our quest in 37 minutes and 11 seconds. This unlocks more workers, along with resource types for our kingdom. I go ahead and have it set to gather mahogany logs for me, because I was finding those a little tricky, as I don't have the wood box to gather a bunch at once, and the only ones I think I can access are in Apatol. After all that, I decide to end the month with one last final quest that should be nice, quick, and easy, as it is just one small favor. Yanni here just wants us to head to the jungle foresters right outside the village and pick up some red mahogany logs for him. So we head over, talk to him, and get our logs. Then we turn right back and complete our quest in... Wait, that can't be right. 1 hour, 8 minutes, 54 seconds. I must have taken an hour nap or something during that whole thing. It's not like we had to trapeze across all of Gielinor, solving small favors for dozens of NPCs. No, certainly not. In any event, that brings us to the end of the month of August. We got a couple more quests done, several skills up, and I think we're making good progress. I mean, just look at these skill levels. Construction's definitely doing pretty well, it's hitting at 68. Farming's also getting up there, it's already at 73, catching up to our massive hunter grind. We've got that agility, one level away from 70. So yeah, all in all, looking pretty good. We're over 1400 total level and combat level 70. Not to mention all the brand new gear. Look forward to the next 2 weeks where we will probably be working on some more skilling, and I think we'll also be taking care of some quests that should have been done a long time ago. In any event, I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more, and leave a comment on how I'm doing so far in the game. I will hopefully see you all next time.